For this evening, cloudy with a shower in spots late, the low 47. Mostly sunny and breezy tomorrow. It's going to feel more like spring than winter, my friend. The high tomorrow, 73. Partly cloudy, mild tomorrow night, low 45. Increasingly windy with periods of rain on Thursday, even a thunder boomer, cooler with a high 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Ruth O'Brien. Go to AccuWeather.com for more.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
Happy Valentine's Day to you. Good day for you, Kath.
That's a great day, John.
Excellent.
It's been sunshiny. It's warm out.
Mm-hmm. Did you get any candy, flowers?
I did not get candy or flowers. I haven't seen my husband today, though.
Oh, right.
So
you're going to take a little vacation, so that
I am.
really
Yeah,
is
we're going away, so I don't feel like,
Right.
He got me flowers on Saturday, so they're blooming very
well, then
nicely in the
that
kitchen.
counts.
I think it's lovely.
What kind of flowers?
They, a beautiful kind.
Those ones.
Mm-hmm.
Love them.
Aren't they great?
Oh, they're so beautiful. That's why they call them beautiful kind flowers. That's okay. That's okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Thanks, John.
No.
It's actually a type of flower that I really favor because beautiful ones. Now, there's a particular kind that I can't think of right now because they bloom for so long.
I see.
I like a long blooming flower.
Yeah.
You know
Get
what I
your money's
mean?
worth.
Exactly. Well, it's in your house and it's just very nice over
Are
a
they
long.
lilies?
Nope.
Lilacs?
Nope.
Hydrangeas?
You're never going to guess it.
Irises?
No, you're never going to guess it.
Daffodils? Daisies?
Can we make this be over?
All right. Okay. All right. Anyway.
I have a little Valentine treat I'm going to give to you and Lexi at the 5 o'clock hour.
Really? A snack?
Is
it a snack?
Yeah, but don't get too excited.
Lex already gave us a snack.
Yeah, I know.
We had one.
Lex, thanks for that snack. It was yummy.
Yeah, of course.
Was it gluten-free? I think that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's a little granola bar that their brand makes it a big thing that they are nut-free. They're allergen-free, essentially. So
okay.
Very, very giftable friendly.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gluten-free, are you?
No, I am not.
All right. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. I mean, we got to know these things if you're our producer.
I mean, I should have asked her that at the interview.
Exactly.
Before we decided to hire the girl.
Yeah, exactly. What's your experience and
are you gluten-free?
Are you gluten-free? Right, of course.
Any other allergies that we need to know of? I bet that's illegal to ask.
What, if you're if you have food allergies?
I bet it is. It's illegal to ask how old somebody is. It's illegal to ask.
Right.
Before we interviewed you, Lexi, our boss sent us a little thing about all the things we weren't allowed to ask you.
The legal thing.
Yeah.
Right, which was fine. And we weren't going to go there anyway.
Well, I might ask how old somebody is without thinking of it. I didn't realize that you're not allowed to ask that.
You should have said, tell me how old you are without telling me. Right?
I'm giving you these M&Ms.
Yeah.
Please count out the same number as your years.
Right. Or tell me your favorite Looney Tune character. And Lex would go, I don't know what Looney Tune is. We go, okay, she's
okay.
now.
Okay, well, that's it.
Right, something like that,
okay.
Yeah. I went to got my oil change today, and the guy was, my guy was going off on coupons. Do you have a coupon? No. And then he went, the whole thing about, he got a coupon for a free dozen eggs. And then he went through his whole shopping list with me, which included, which I had not had for a while, he had a coupon, he said, for chipped ham.
Chipped ham is
When's the last time you had chipped ham? I get a little sort of nostalgic taste for it.
a couple decades.
Not a couple decades. It's probably been 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
I bring it home. My kids are, sort of like...
Appalled?
Kind of.
Yeah, like what is that? It's pretty greasy. Like when you...
Super greasy.
It's really greasy.
Yeah. I mean, the Isley's chipped ham.
Listen, the Isley's chipped ham.
I ate so much of that growing up.
Pumpernickel bread.
Pumpernickel bread.
Mayonnaise. And sweet pickles.
No, oh,
that is a home run.
No, here's me.
Oh, maybe some Swiss.
White bread, lettuce, tomato.
Oh, okay.
Yellow, sometimes yellow mustard.
Okay, that's good.
Dill pickles.
Okay.
A side of chips.
Fine. I like it.
Yeah. Lex, you a chipped hammer?
I used to be when I was a kid, not so much anymore.
Not so
Yeah,
much.
I know.
Right. Peanut butter and jelly.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When's the last time you had peanut butter?
2 nights ago.
What?
I had it for dinner.
For dinner?
I had it for dinner.
Really?
And it was so good. I had it on raisin bread. Peanut butter and jelly on raisin bread.
One sandwich?
I had
Top and bottom?
I always do open face. Thank you for asking. And I eat it with a knife and fork.
What is that all about?
I don't know. I do.
Raisin bread with a knife and...
Open face.
Are you from Sewickley?
Maybe.
I mean, that's like super, different zip code here.
It's not. It just makes it last a little longer than if you smash your bread together and make a sandwich.
Have two then.
With rich chocolate Ovaltine.
Holy smokes, you are living a good life,
It was
lady.
a big night.
That's a big life.
I might do it again tonight.
Well, it's Valentine's Day. Aren't you going to have like a little,
No.
tete?
No, because we're going out of town.
Okay.
So we're a little too busy to be.
Worrying about the tete.
Exactly.
All righty. That's enough of that chit-chat.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
ready.
Well, give us the news stories today, please.
I have some.
All right, without further ado, the top 4 at 4.
For Tuesday, February 14th, that's Valentine's Day, 2023. Number 1.
Thank you.
McKeesport police officer Sean Slagansky, age 32, of McKeesport, laid to rest today after his death in the line of duty on February 6th, responding to a domestic dispute. McKeesport officer Chuck Thomas was also wounded in the incident. Officers from across the state and the Pittsburgh region stood in formation, according to today's Trib, and a pipe band played as Slagansky's body arrived at St. Albert Church. Dressed in black uniforms, the officers waited for more than 30 minutes before the body arrived. Sergeant Randall Davison of Middlesex Township said it was important for him and other officers from all over to, quote, pay tribute to a fallen brother. Described as kind and empathetic throughout the service, Slagansky was known for his great sense of humor and the passion he had for the job. Chelsea Cancia, his fiancée, told those gathered that Slagansky was, quote, and always will be, the best person I've ever known.
Thank you for your service. We called him Sluggo. Thank you, sir. What a...
Number 2, run, hide, fight. Those were the instructions sent to students at Michigan State University in a text message informing them of an active shooter on the East Lansing campus last night. How about that? Can you imagine getting that on your phone?
No.
Run, hide, fight. On social media, many expressed shock and concern over the recommended course of action. You may have heard by this point that the gunman killed 3 people at the university and critically injured 5 others before dying of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is not normal, said someone. It's sickening that any university would have to say this to its students. But the Run, Hide, Fight is not specific to Michigan.
Nope.
It's part of a program developed by the U.S. government and taught all across the country, created by the Department of Homeland Security and promoted by the FBI. The 43-year-old man who was the shooter later found dead, according to the Washington Post. And number 3, are you ready for this, John?
Please.
I'm going to pick it up a little bit as far as the happiness of stories. A Polish mother of 7 has successfully given birth to premature quintuplets.
Whoa.
Yep. That's in southern Poland. The 2 boys and 3 girls were born through C-section Sunday in the pregnancy's 28th week. They're all in incubators. They have breathing support, but all are doing fine.
Good.
The quintuplets' mother is Dominika Clark, age 37. She said, look, if you have a system, a calm approach, and a positive attitude, then it really is possible to have a really cool life with such a large number of children. She and her British husband's other children are aged between 10 months and 12 years and include 2 pairs of twins.
Showsy. She's a little factory.
Read more about that at the AP. And number 4, for the 3rd year in a row, the First Lady is playing Cupid. President Joe Biden woke up at the White House today to find his wife once again had the White House decorated overnight for Valentine's Day. And that's your top 4 at 4.
Have you ever played Matchmaker? Little Cupid thing going on there? Like, hey, I know somebody.
Oh, yeah. I did do it a couple times. Yeah, it was a miserable failure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't work out well at all.
That's rough, isn't it?
In the White House, wooden artwork in the shapes of the family's first pets, Cat Willow and German Shepherd Commander, were on display.
Wooden artworks? What do you
Wooden
mean?
artworks, like little carvings
Oh, okay.
of the little beasts.
All right, that's fine.
Isn't that fun?
Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Last year's lawn decor was 1 Corinthians 13:13. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love.
Really? Carved in wood as well?
A massive wooden heart, yes, carved.
So what's the deal with the wooden heart thing?
The First Lady's called Valentine's Day one of her favorite holidays.
Really? And wood sculptures.
There you go.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day to you. We'll take a quick break. Katie Faris is back with us. Your gifts, use your gifts in the local church. Yeah, we'll talk about that next. We're Pittsburgh's Christian Talk. It's The Ride Home on 101.5 Word FM. That's WORD.
101.5 WORD.
Turning Point with David Jeremiah.
God hasn't meant us to carry all of our own burdens. He's meant for us to carry the burdens of one another and to encourage one another. When we get discouraged, here's my best counsel. Find somebody who needs your encouragement and go encourage them.
Join Dr. David Jeremiah for his series, Slaying the Giants in Your Life. Next time on Turning Point.
This evening at 7:30 on 101.5 WORD.
What if I told you you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
As the Biden administration ratchets up its war on Americans' right to keep and bear arms, a groundbreaking new book from Regnery Publishing pushes back and offers hope for the future. Professional firearms instructor and veteran gun store owner Larry Correa's new book, In Defense of the Second Amendment, pulls back the curtain on Washington's gun-grabbing agenda and how you can protect your rights. You'll learn why gun-free zones are more dangerous for college students and average citizens, how so-called gun control laws handcuff law-abiding Americans while allowing dangerous violent criminals to run wild in our cities, and offers solid details on how America has a history of gun ownership that is under attack by liberals in Congress. If you care deeply about protecting your Second Amendment rights and keeping your family safe, you must read In Defense of the Second Amendment, new from Regnery, available now at Amazon.com and wherever books are sold.
Rhema Christian School is a private school in Moon Township serving children in preschool through 8th grade. Recognized for its commitment to a biblically integrated curriculum that nurtures a Christian worldview and academic excellence, Rhema aims to develop the whole child, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Rhema is a true community of families who desire to raise up the next generation of godly leaders, also offering programs for homeschool families, accepting enrollment now for the current school year and opening soon for the 2023-24 school year. Visit RhemaChristianschool.org.
Katie Faris is back with us. Katie is a wife and a mother of 5 kids, author of God is Still Good, Gospel, Hope, and Comfort for the Unexpected Sorrows of Motherhood. But she wrote a piece we saw that we loved about using your gifts for the local church. Hey, Katie, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me again, John. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure, Katie.
So, Katie, the only reason that we met you is because of your writing, right? That's how we connected. And
yes.
and this article that you've written for the Gospel Coalition tells us that you would never have even started writing if it wasn't for people in your local church. So tell us that story.
Yeah, I'd love to. And so in this article, I share how, I got through some really hard things related to parenting and just motherhood. And my pastor's wife knew about this, and it came time. We do a mom's class at our church each winter to try to help with, mom blues, staying in the side, when it's really cold and everything. Anyway, and she asked if I would mind sharing with these ladies about some of the things God had taught me about trusting him in trials. And, it was really difficult to kind of go through all of that, prepare that talk, but it was also really a privilege to share it with the ladies of my church. And in doing so, I just saw the women were ministered to, and it was just a really, fruitful experience. And I went on to take that talk and turn it into an article for the Gospel Coalition. And it just started this process as I realized, oh, wow, this is a topic, sorrows of motherhood, that maybe just isn't as widely addressed. that I think is a real something that all moms, I think motherhood's a wonderful calling and full of joy, but I think there's an inherent sorrow that can come with it also as we share burdens related to motherhood. And so that maybe gap or whatever opened up the opportunity to write a book. And so, just one thing kind of led to another, but it really did start with serving in my local church, having other people recognize some gifting there. And I have a privilege, too. In my church, there are some other writers. So, that helps open up doors also. So, I'm happy to answer more questions, but that's kind of some of what was going on in my story that came out in the article.
What I like about this, Katie, is that, in the local church, and, my friends, your friends, people, everyone has a particular talent, a skill set, right? And I think, when you're asked to serve, whether as a deacon or an elder or whatever, I mean, people go, well, I'm not really that talented, or they and you liken that to, the parable of the talents, where, of course, we know that story where Jesus has given, where a landowner has given, talents to, to someone to use. One of the people in the story, he hides them, right? Sort of buries them away. And of course, we're called to use our things for the good of the local church. So that's, to me, that's what I take from all this, right? Everyone's got some sort of good thing to use, then use it and invest in your local church.
Right. And I remember a couple of years ago, actually, I was reading something, and I'm in my mid-40s right now, and I just remember reading and thinking and really being stirred, like, are there gifts that the Lord has given me that I'm not using, that I would get to the end of my life and regret, and even think, is this a hidden talent? Is this something that I just, maybe from my own fear, my fear of what other people would think, my fear of it not, succeeding or not doing really well in some sort of sense, and what if I just bury it? Am I wasting it?
Yes.
And as I was, wrestling with the Lord about this, the thing that came to mind was writing. And, for some of us, it's hard to know, we don't know, is it a one talent or however you measure things. But it was, for me, kind of a fearful thing to even take those steps. It required faith to start writing and putting myself out there in a vulnerable way. So all of that to say, just trusting the Lord, even if it's baby steps. But I think I had to come to grips with the fact, I might be a 1 or 2 talent writer. I can't just compare myself to these people who've been writing forever and have all this experience and are so obviously gifted. That's not what I'm called to measure myself against. This is not about some kind of man's measure. It really is, are we being faithful to steward what God's given us, whether it's our gifts, our talents, our experiences, just who he's made us? Are we just being faithful in what he's calling us to do?
Katie Faris is with us, author of God is Still Good, Gospel Hope and Comfort for the Unexpected Sorrows of Motherhood. Katie, I love this story because it just reinforces in my mind the opportunity we have and the responsibility we have to just be looking around the people that we worship with and know in our local church. And it's ours to encourage them.
What can I do?
Right.
Yeah.
And to support them in what their skills and abilities are.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. Just to be watching. I mean, I can think of so many women and men, brothers and sisters in Christ in our church that are serving, some in really, visible ways, other in unseen ways. But it's beautiful when people in the body of Christ are using their gifts in that Corinthian way of coming together. Some are the hands, some are this, whatever it is, that whatever part we are in the body, when the body's serving together that way.
Yep. And I think, in many ways, this, of course, is a broad generalization, but the larger the church, it's easier to show up for worship, and then when worship is over, to leave and count yourself invisible some way. And of course, we're not called to do that. We're called to be part of the body, part of the family, to use our skills, our talents, to engage, to equip, all those things for the church. And so, the small church, you get called out quickly because there's, not a whole lot of hands are out there working.
Right.
And I think probably that's, a draw for some people. If I go to a larger church, I won't be called upon. And so maybe, I guess it's a cautionary tale. Hey, worship is more than just showing up. It needs everything about you, all your talents.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you bring up, there's so many good points in what you just said. The one being there is a difference also between a small church and a large church. There are strengths and weaknesses to both. But I think for that person who comes in on a Sunday morning into a large church, I think another temptation can be, wow, that worship leader is so good. So my little bit of experience with music or something, maybe you're tempted to not even offer it, maybe in a small group setting or in a setting where it could be useful and serve fellow believers. But I think sometimes you can be like, well, I'm not that good, so I'm not even going to try. And that can create, questions inside of us and everything.
That's Katie Faris. She's the author of He Will Be Enough, How God Takes You by the Hand Through Your Hardest Days, and the book I mentioned earlier, God is Still Good, Gospel, Hope, and Comfort for the Unexpected Sorrows of Motherhood.
Hey, Katie, thanks an awful lot. A pleasure to catch up with you once again, and as an encouragement, right, to use our talents that we are given us for the good of the church. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Our pleasure. Hey, Aaron Rodgers wants to sit in a dark room for a few days. We'll talk about that next.
This is Kathy Emmons. John and I are grateful for the encouragement we have from all of our advertisers, and especially our friends at Grove City College. Thanks to everyone at Grove City for supporting The Ride Home.
My 6-year-old nephew got his first Bible for Christmas this year. He raised the Bible over his head in celebration, and as he did, caught his mom on the bridge of her nose, leaving us considering stitches. Hebrews says that the Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, but I don't think this is what that meant. It's Ryan from United Faith Mortgage, and we'd like to slam you in the head with an important word as well. Many experts believe that even with interest rates higher, this year should be a better year to buy a home. Inventory should go up, competition over homes has come down, allowing prices to stabilize, closing cost concessions from the seller are back in play, making it for many a good time to finally find that dream home while it's available, with the strategy to refinance once rates settle. If your family is thinking new home, we hope you'll remember us, our direct lender advantage, and that we provide a $1,000 lender credit at closing, a big thing my nephew would definitely celebrate. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month.
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Roofing, siding, or remodeling?
Want it done right, call doing it right.
724 New Roof.
We are everywhere on your radio at 101.5 WORD FM Pittsburgh, at wordfm.com, the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
If you have a red face or bumps and pimples as an adult, you could have rosacea. 16 million Americans have the skin disorder, often called the Great Pretender because it can mimic a sunburn or acne. But without treatment, rosacea usually gets worse and becomes a serious burden on daily life. But it doesn't have to. Advances in medical care make clear skin possible. If you have facial redness or bumps and pimples, see a dermatologist or visit the National Rosacea Society at rosacea.org.
For this evening, cloudy with a shower in spots late, the low 47. Mostly sunny and breezy tomorrow. It's going to feel more like spring than winter, my friend. The high tomorrow, 73. Partly cloudy, mild tomorrow night, low 45. Increasingly windy with periods of rain on Thursday, even a thunder boomer, cooler with a high 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Ruth O'Brien. Go to AccuWeather.com for more.
I think it's pretty common for a lot of people in the Christian faith to do retreats, right? Whether it's a group retreat or a singular retreat.
You went away by yourself for a week a couple years ago.
Yeah, I went to Gethsemane, which is a monastery in Kentucky, and sat in a room and was part of the community. It was a silent retreat. I didn't speak for 7 days. Prayed a lot, slept a lot, read a lot. It was a very, very good week for me. It raised my my curiosity, though, because Aaron Rodgers has recently announced he may be doing it actually
Aaron Rodgers,
now.
Quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
For now.
He's 39 years old, Aaron Rodgers is, and he said, I need to go someplace and make a decision about moving forward in life. Should I, apparently his time is over with the Green Bay Packers, so should he continue with another team? Should he retire? So he's going to do something called a dark retreat, which to be honest, I've never heard about before. I think you brought this up a couple of days ago. So a dark retreat is just what it sounds like. People spend time in a space that is completely devoid of light. And apparently it stems from ancient practices from many cultures, such as when monks sought spiritual guidance by meditating in a cave. Now, the Wall Street Journal picked this up yesterday. These days, a dark retreat can cost about $1,000, comes with food service, some TP, a yoga mat. A patron
Seems like it should be cheaper than that.
That's pretty basic.
There's not a lot of electricity you're using.
No. I mean, heck, you go to the Ramada and just close the drapes.
Right.
Right. A patron's usually led into a room with a candle and given a tour to familiarize them with the surroundings. Then the candle is extinguished. Some find their way around the pitch dark with their hands in front of them. Others crawl. They talked to a guy here, Robbie Bent. He said he sought out a darkness retreat at the Sky Cave Retreat near Ashland, Oregon in the summer of 2020. He said he was burned out. He was overwhelmed by work. He said he was so busy scrolling on Twitter one time, he missed his flight. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. He said he spent 8 days inside a 300-square-foot soundproof, light-proof room built into a hillside. On the second day, when he decided to take a bath, he got down on his hands and knees to find the bathtub's legs. He said, it's not like you're in a rush. You're there for days. The other alternative is just to sit there. He said for him, the first instinct was fear, because as a kid, he was afraid of the dark. But, of course, you put yourself in the situation, I would imagine you get over there pretty quickly. Now, can you imagine sitting in a dark room for 7 consecutive days? No sound, no light, nothing. That's a long time.
I couldn't tell you how little interest I have in that. It freaks me out a little bit, not because I'm afraid of the dark, but because I just absolutely value light. I love big windows. I love sunshine. That's such a big deal for me.
But you're forced to deal with yourself.
I mean, but you can deal. Okay.
You force yourself into it. Like someone like that guy, people who are nonstop, whatever, you know, workaholics. If you force yourself into a corner, like my cat behind the dishwasher.
Sure.
Right? there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. You are forced to accept yourself in your current situation.
Yeah, but I think that you can be forced to accept yourself in your current situation in a lot of different ways. I mean, if that works for you, I mean, I think that's great. I don't. Here's the bottom line. Can I just say what the bottom line is?
You want candy?
The bottom line is, I do want candy. Is if you're trying to find yourself,
right, I get it.
And there's no God in your search process.
Right. What's the point?
It doesn't matter if you're in darkness, light, silence, or noise.
I could say you're navel gazing, but you can't see your navel.
Exactly. So, I hope that Aaron Rodgers has an absolutely terrific retreat and has some actual spiritual encounter. I think that'd be wonderful.
It. That's the goal, right? And I would think that, your retreat would involve prayer, meditation.
Well, your retreat would, but
worship.
But the regular person's wouldn't.
I guess it all depends upon your bent, right?
Yeah, it does.
Right. What are you trying to find, and who is your guide in the process? But But how does a dark retreat strike you? You've already done a silent retreat. I would do it. I think maybe I'd be interested in trying it for 24 to 48 hours out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. Because you dig yourself into the hole. So can you imagine being so isolated that all you're doing is you're praying for 24 to 48 hours? That's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
That's significant.
Okay. Here's my question. When the lights are turned on, first of all, it would be very difficult to see. But once you are able to, imagine looking around and seeing what a mess you've made.
Probably, but you're paying someone to clean up the mess, right? You're walking out of there.
That's wrong. I don't know.
So you wouldn't do it?
I am. The silent retreat is very interesting to me. The darkness retreat really isn't.
I told you I did that.
It seems like it's harmful.
Somebody gave me a gift of an isolation tank. This was back in the 80s.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that either. Did you do it?
Oh, yeah, it was cool.
How was that?
I fell asleep. So,
okay.
I mean, I remember it was like a William Hurt movie, like
right, body.
And so this was a thing, and I remember being in New York City, and someone's, it was like $100 or $125 for a couple of hours, and it was salt water.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 feet of salt water. And you go in there, you have a pair of bathing trunks on, and you just lay down, and they close the door. And then you float. You're suspended in a bit.
See, I hate that.
That was kind of cool.
Horrible.
It wasn't horrible at all.
Why don't you like Stranger Things? I don't understand. I mean, that's what that procedure is one of the bases.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Lexi, how can he not like Stranger Things?
I don't know.
I'm still asking myself that question.
I'll get to it at some point. Right. Anyway, I mean,
I would not. Lexi, would you ever do that? Do the isolation? Do what 11 does?
I would want to try it just to see what it was like, but I don't know if, depending on how it goes, I mean, I might do it again.
Yeah, I would never want to try that. Right. I mean, if you're surrounded by all your friends, like she is in the last one, right? And they're all like,
how can you be in isolation if you're surrounded by your friends?
Well, that's what I mean. You're
not.
Several times in Stranger Things, she's surrounded by her friends. They're not in the water with her, but they're companions, right, Lex? I mean, she's not on her own.
Yeah.
The reason she's so emotionally traumatized is all the times she was put in the tank by herself.
So the goal of anything like that is to step away from your normal routine.
That's one of the reasons she's traumatized.
To break the pattern of your thoughts, your feelings, those things that control you, to end all that.
Yes.
And if you're a person of Christian faith, to draw closer to the Lord.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers, I don't know where he's going in his thoughts. I mean, he may be like, revisiting childhood memories or some weird thing like that, or just engaging in a deeper exploration of what is the right next step.
I just don't think, the more we talk about it, the worse I feel about it. Okay. I just don't think darkness is helpful. But what do I know? You just asked me my opinion.
All right, that's good enough. Okay, what's next here?
Our best Aaron, as he figures this out. Coming up next, the Jude 3 Project. What is it? How you can listen.
101.5 WORD.
Stronger marriages require a life and death commitment. On the next Focus on the Family, Dr. Greg and Erin Smalley describe how a foundation of faith, a relentless commitment to each other, and learning rules of engagement during conflict saved their marriage. You'll hear from them next time on Focus on the Family with Jim Daly.
Tonight at 8:30 on 101.5 WORD.
Late summer this year, you can join Alistair Begg on a fascinating Mediterranean cruise.
One of my favorite places to visit is Corfu, Greece, to soak in stunning views of whitewashed churches and thatched-roofed windmills in what is essentially a scenic playground. Then, the privilege of turning to the Bible to gain new insights from the history of the storied location, and to discover again how Scripture gains fresh meaning when we're moving in this part of the world.
Join Alistair Begg for a once-in-a-lifetime Mediterranean cruise. Immerse yourself in the wonder of some of the world's most famous cathedrals, museums, and works of art. We'll be sailing on Norwegian Cruise Line's newest ship, the luxurious Viva. For details, log on to deeperfaithcruise.com. Then call 855-565-5519 to join. 855-565-5519. Inspiration Cruises and Tours is a trusted partner of Salem Media Group.
Studies show decades of increased taxpayer spending per student has failed to improve educational performance. Can't we do better? Pittsburgh's Christian schools say we can. If you're looking for a safe environment for kids to learn, challenge, and grow, where character matters and academic excellence is served by highly qualified teachers who partner with parents, consider Christian education. Right now, local Christian schools are offering half-price tuitions for first-time enrollees while they last at wordfm.com/tuitions.
Bachman's Roofing and Solar is your local award-winning roofer. Stop waiting. It's time to inspect your roof and protect your home's #1 asset. With no interest and no payment financing for 12 months, Bachman's Roofing is your easy choice for roofing, gutters, and solar. Did you know Bachman's Roofing is one of the #1 GAF solar integrated roofing installers in the USA? Go with Bachman's. Go with solar and install the roof that pays for itself. Call 412-744-8390 or visit bachmansroofing.com.
Trip to Europe. Visit all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Go skydiving. Okay, so you know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune into Your Retirement Blueprint with Kurt Knodik and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group, Saturdays at 10 a.m. to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen every Saturday morning at 10 to Your Retirement Blueprint with Accurate Solutions Group. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week, the Coalition for Christian Outreach presents their annual conference, Jubilee, at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, downtown Pittsburgh. I'll tell you, this is for college students, but it's generally for the Christian audience, or for any audience, people who are interested in scholarship, inquiry, faith, all these things this weekend downtown at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Along with that, Lisa Fields is with us. Lisa is really interesting. Worked in the financial services industry. She changed course into a Masters of Divinity program before starting the Jude 3 project to serve, as she writes, help the Black Christian community know what they believe and why. She's with us right now. Hey, Lisa, thanks for coming along today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Lisa, I'm super excited to talk to you because I've heard about the Jude 3 podcasts for the last couple years, and they're like, they continue to be on my to-do list. Like, I have to listen to that. I have to listen to that. And I haven't. But I've heard so many good things about what you're doing. So for people who have never heard about Jude 3, you're the creator. Tell us what was on your mind and what you've created.
Yeah, so Jude 3 really came out of my own personal wrestlings with faith. I'm a PK, so I've been in church my whole life and didn't question my faith until I got to the University of North Florida. I started off as an investment finance major and thought I would take New Testament as an elective because my parents taught me the Bible, so I thought it would be an easy A. Nobody prepped me for the fact that New Testament at a secular university is different than Sunday school. And so
I bet.
Yeah. So my world was rocked. My professor really, first day of class, said, I'm going to challenge everything you think you know about Jesus. And it did. And so thankfully, my father introduced me to apologetics through that process. But in that space, I didn't see prominent African-American apologists. And I was like, this is helpful, but we need something that bridges the gap for our community in apologetics. So that was really the thought behind starting the Jude 3 project, feeling really called to do that, and which was really a divine calling, because from 5th grade onward, I just wanted to be a stockbroker because we played the stock market game in 5th grade magnet program. And so my whole trajectory was being a stockbroker working on Wall Street. So it is a really divine intervention that I'm doing the work I am today.
Excellent. So, Lisa, along with the Jude 3, you put out a lot of different questions and then guide people along. And one of these things, we've talked with other pastors about this. You talk about, is Christianity a white man's religion? And I think probably, within the black community, this is a thing. I'm curious about that. When you teach and preach like that, and the reception that follows from that teaching and preaching, can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so we do a historically black college and university tour, and one of the things we were hearing on HBCU campuses is students were really turning away from Christianity because they felt like it was a white man's religion, because they would see images of Jesus being white, sure, Bible characters being white, and then they knew how slave masters used to use the Bible and passages to further harm African slaves. And so they concluded that it was a white man's religion. So what we like to do is point people to the fact that it was early African Christians that really were at the foundation of the Christian doctrines we hold dear, like Tertullian with the Trinity, Athanasius, and Augustine, and they were Africans who believed in Christianity way before slavery. Yeah. And so pointing people back to early African Christianity really helps us dispel this myth that Christianity is a white man's religion. And thankfully, one of the ways we've been able to do this is not only through our curriculum, through Rise of Color, but we have a documentary that's on Amazon Prime called Unspoken that really helps dispel this myth that Christianity is a white man's religion.
You said that's important for your community to hear, those things about early believers in Christ, first century believers. But it's an important thing for my community to know as well. And so, I mean, the truth can only set us free, right? So the more we know about things that are true, the better off we are. And so talk to me about the reception. I mean, what kind of reception have you had with white believers, or is that an area where you've decided that isn't your mission?
Yeah, no, we hear from our white brothers and sisters all the time that Jude 3 is their favorite apologetic organization, and they love it because a lot of young white Gen Z are concluding the same thing, that Christianity is just a white man's religion and it's oppressive. And so they find this historical narrative very helpful for them because they have sometimes come with the same conclusions that many of their black brothers and sisters have concluded. And so they want to rid off all things that they feel like are oppressive in their, what most people are labeling deconstruction. And so when they're deconstructing their faith, they're like, oh, this is oppressive, this has harmed black people. And so they also have left the faith because of that. And so them hearing that is also liberative to them to realize that faith, Christianity is not tethered to just white people. Christianity is something that Africans held dear long before it even became a European faith.
Yeah. I mean, this is like all times, but it feels as though, especially, Lisa, a deeply fraught time in race relations in this country. And what's happened here recently is interesting and very good, that there is black representation at the table in America than there never has been before. And so, your ministry, I'm curious about pushback from that. People hear about you and go, wait a second, you're doing what? And isn't Christianity white and black together? Do you get pushback like that?
Yeah, we've gotten pushback for those who don't really understand the message, that think we're actually being divisive.
Yes.
But I think that comes from people who haven't spent enough time with the skeptics that we spend time with and know their questions. And so it's really usually out of a place of inexperience and ignorance. But when you sit with people and you feel their frustrations and pain with faith, then you know the way we're answering the questions is very important.
That's good.
Lisa Fields is with us. She worked in the financial services industry, but then changed course into a Masters of Divinity program before she started the Jude 3 Project to, as she writes, help the Black Christian community know what they believe and why. Lisa, talk about what's offered by Jude 3. I mean, you've done, first of all, when did you start it?
We started in 2014.
Wow. Okay, so almost 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, so you've done a heck of a lot in 10 years. So kind of do a little bit of a laundry list of the kinds of stuff that you've done, and then talk about what's available on the podcast.
Yeah, so we have our podcast, which is very popular, where I interview scholars across the gamut on various topics. Just today, I filmed an episode on is the Bible trustworthy for LGBTQIA people, and then I had another episode about the Ethiopian Bible. And so we cover a wide range of topics on that. We also have 2 documentaries that we released last year. One called Unspoken, that's on Amazon Prime, that dispels the myth that Christianity is the white man's religion, and then one in partnership with Our Daily Bread on Juneteenth, Faith and Freedom, talking about the faith element of Juneteenth. We have a number of curriculums. We have the Unspoken curriculum that goes with the documentary Unspoken. We have a Courageous Conversations curriculum, and we have a Through Eyes of Color curriculum, and there's a video component on there or with Right Now Media. We have online courses. We have mini-series. One of our most popular series right now is Why Don't Go, where I sit down with young adults who've left faith. And that's going viral several times. We've done 2 seasons of that. We're gearing up to do a 3rd season in Seattle. Our goal is to do one in every major city across the U.S.
Fabulous.
I'm blanking. We have a national conference called Courageous Conversations every year for the past 3 years. It's been in Washington, D.C.
All that, Lise. That's an awful lot.
All of that, yeah.
I mean, you're just pouring it out, Lise. So, you're coming into Jubilee. You're going to be with college students this weekend. Both Kath and I have kids in college. This is, again, a particularly weird, fraught time, with social media and people stepping away from the church. So what's the good news for you when you go in there and you're engaging these kids? You got a short amount of time with these kids. What do you go for first, and how do you, get into the brass tacks?
Yeah, so I really like to talk to young people about the roots of skepticism. I believe when we think about our doubt and what troubles us about doubt or what our frustrations are, is usually rooted in some kind of painful experience we've had. And so I like to listen to young people to get to really what the deep emotion is at the root, and not just the fruit of the issue, but getting to the root of the issue. And I talk a lot about that because I think that's the way we're going to penetrate and make inroads into this generation, because when you get to the real pain, you see depression is at a height in Gen Z. Suicide rates are higher because they're wrestling with deep pain. And I try to minister to the heart and minister to the pain point and show them how the gospel has something to say, and that Christ is the Prince of Peace and wants to give them peace in the midst of their suffering, in the midst of their pain. And he is the light and the hope that we need.
Fabulous. Well, I would imagine you've got a lot of stories about digging down into that pain and finding some peace with people in Christ.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, we're out of time, but there's so much more we could talk about. You have to go online to Jude 3 Project. That's Jude with the number 3 project.org. You can find out all the information about Lisa, all the information about all of the other teachers that she has listed on here, and the incredible number of projects. It's a tremendous amount of input, and I hope you have a terrific time at Jubilee this weekend being in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Lisa, keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Jude 3.
Yeah, jude3project.org.
We'll take a quick break, come back. We got a story to tell about a guy who's seen Phantom of the Opera 19,000 times.
Doing it right. Roofing, siding, and remodeling. The first Owens Corning MVP in Pittsburgh and one of the longest tenured platinum contractors in the Pittsburgh region. Doing it right. Roofing, siding, and remodeling. Call 724-NEW-ROOF. That's 724-NEW-ROOF.
Want it done right, call doing it right.
What if I told you you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or a phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
Let's be real. Retirement is expensive, and inflation is making it even harder with the cost of everything going up from pet food to a dozen eggs. Wouldn't it be great if the cost of your health care could go down? Well, Medishare 65 Plus is $99 a month for ages 65 to 74. And for many with Medicare Parts A and B, looking at other options, that's 50% or more saved per month. No gimmicks. It's $99 a month, and you can use any Medicare-approved doctor or facility, and you get 24/7 access to telehealth from the convenience of your home. Better yet, Medishare is a Christian nonprofit organization. It's a community that'll pray for you and encourage you. And since we've cut out the middleman, you get to keep the savings. Call now. You can learn more about Medishare 65 Plus. Here's the number: 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE-55. 833-SHARE-55.
I think what excites them the most is that their children are happy.
Cara Bell, principal at Jubilee Christian School in Mount Lebanon.
When the children come into school, they love it. And oftentimes they're super excited when they leave because they don't want to leave. You know, it's always, bye, Mrs. Bell, see you tomorrow. I mean, they're just always happy. And I think that makes parents happy. You want to see your children have a passion for education. We want them to enjoy learning.
Imagine, believe, achieve. Jubilee Christian School, K through 8th grade. Now enrolling for the fall at jubileecs.org. Roofing, siding, or remodeling?
Want it done right, call doing it right.
724 New Roof.
The Phantom of the Opera has been on Broadway for more than 35 years. It's the longest running musical in Broadway history. And there's a guy, his name is Alan Lampel, which is an ironic name because he's the chief electrician of Phantom of the Opera. And
we're talking about the one in New York.
Yeah, on Broadway. And so before Phantom opened, Alan Lampel's longest job lasted 35 weeks.
No, it's not very long.
This job has lasted 35 years. He's seen the show more than 13,000 times.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. He sits in the orchestra section way in the back of the theater, and he runs the electrics. It's an incredible record. He's seen the show. The show sold 20 million tickets, earned $1.3 billion during a run that made other Broadway productions look more like High School Musicals in their longevity. But there's one guy who kept the lights on the whole time, and the success of any business is every bit as much about the electrical opening, the operating behind the scenes, as the people taking the bow on the stage. He was there at the start. January 26th, 1988 was opening night. Closing night will be April 16th, 2023. And that kind of longevity on Broadway is not just unprecedented, it's really unimaginable. He says in this article in the Wall Street Journal, it was last week, that there were colleagues that he loved, bosses he didn't. His responsibilities evolved with technology, but his job was different from any other because he came to work 6 days a week, year after year. He found satisfaction in making the 13,000th show feel like the first one. And of course, he knows better than anybody how the Phantom is supposed to look. He's pursued that goal over and over and over. He said it's not tedious. He falls in love with it every night. It's rewarding. And as deeply complex as it is, without him and all the different varieties of the things that he does, the show would not, be seen, first of all, because he's the electrician. He's broken a hip, a wrist, an arm, all from falling off ladders.
No way.
During the show. The really cool thing is that Andrew Lloyd Webber, the show's composer, made a surprise appearance backstage whenever they had a party for this guy. He's 66 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. His grandfather acted in the 1942 production of Porgy and Bess. His mother worked at Playbill, which is sort of the magazine of,
Sure.
all the theaters. And he said that exposure inspired him to spend more time in the theater. And he said it's been the greatest job that he could ever imagine. Can you believe that? 35 years in one show.
Would you lose your mind?
Yeah.
I mean, you're glad to have a job,
Right.
and you're glad to have a well-paying job. But
Right.
would you lose your mind? I don't love that show.
It's not, well, it's a tourist show.
But it's a tourist show. Oh, people,
Right.
people
come into
New York and feel like they have to see
They grab a ticket. We had friends, both my wife and I, were in the theater in New York City, and we had friends. One of my wife's best friends were in Cats for a decade. They performed.
That's a show I actively dislike.
They performed every role, each of them, in Cats over that decade, and after those 10 years, of course, you make a lot of money.
I was going to say you've made a ton of cash.
6 days a week in a union contract. They made a lot of money. They moved back to his hometown in South Carolina. They opened up a dance studio where they lived happily
ever after.
Yeah. I mean, they came to our wedding and they danced.
They made everyone else look like total posers.
I mean, every time they start, the floor would open up.
Yeah, right.
There they were, these statuesque. He's like 6'4". She's probably 6 feet tall. I mean, just gorgeous, gliding across. But yeah, 35 years doing the same thing. Well, any job you do for 35 years, you got to find pleasure in it if you're hanging in there.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's the same thing.
Every night.
That's
Groundhog Day.
I mean.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure he knows the book backwards and forwards.
Of course he does.
He probably hears it in his sleep.
Exactly. I'd need a vacation. It'd be rough.
35 years, Phantom of the Opera. Alan Lampel on Broadway. Okay, that's our 4 o'clock hour. We're taking a quick break. Valentine's Day continues on here.
I'm bringing you a snack next.
Hey, great. Thanks. Okay, we'll be right back.
101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, "Lay the word Pittsburgh." And on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey. Code ERIC.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. This just in, Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein of California announcing she will not seek re-election in 2024, signaling an end to a political career spanning 6 decades. Speaking at the National Association of Counties meeting in Washington, President Biden took note of Monday night's deadly shooting spree at Michigan State University.
Our hearts are with the students and the families of Michigan State University. Last night I spoke with Governor Whitmer, and the FBI and additional federal law enforcement are on the ground assisting the state and local folks.
It all started around 8:30 p.m. local time when the 43-year-old gunman Anthony McRae opened fire. The search ended roughly 3 hours later when McRae fatally shot himself in a confrontation with police that happened miles from campus. This is SRN News.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest-rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
My 6-year-old nephew got his first Bible for Christmas this year. He raised the Bible over his head in celebration, and as he did, caught his mom on the bridge of her nose, leaving us considering stitches. Hebrews says that the Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, but I don't think this is what that meant. It's Ryan from United Faith Mortgage, and we'd like to slam you in the head with an important word as well. Many experts believe that even with interest rates higher, this year should be a better year to buy a home. Inventory should go up, competition over homes has come down, allowing prices to stabilize, closing cost concessions from the seller are back in play, making it for many a good time to finally find that dream home while it's available, with the strategy to refinance once rates settle. If your family is thinking new home, we hope you'll remember us, our direct lender advantage, and that we provide a $1,000 lender credit at closing. A big thing my nephew would definitely celebrate. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
For this evening, cloudy with a shower in spots late, the low 47. Mostly sunny and breezy tomorrow. It's going to feel more like spring than winter, my friend. The high tomorrow, 73. Partly cloudy, mild tomorrow night, low 45. Increasingly windy with periods of rain on Thursday, even a thunder boomer, cooler with a high 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Ruth O'Brien. Go to AccuWeather.com for more.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
Greetings unto you. Happy Valentine's Day. I worked as a bartender for a long time, and the wait staff just despised this evening.
So for everyone out there who's working in a waitstaff capacity, we're so sorry.
Be kind to your waiter.
And why did they hate it, John?
Well,
because it's amateur night.
It's crushed. You're crushed, right? I mean, everyone's got a date on Valentine's Day, so the place is just overrun. It's madness.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you walk in, and it doesn't end until, the place shuts down.
Right.
And okay, you brought this up. You said it, not me. You said it's amateur night. Now, explain that a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you're
a seasoned pro in marriage,
or yes, you're a seasoned pro in marriage. That's what I mean. You're not going to go out on Valentine's Day, or because you're going to do it on another night that's not Valentine's Day, so that the crowd is not going to be crushing.
You don't have to feel the urge to go out.
Right.
And
so you
can
maybe go out on Friday night. Or maybe you celebrated last weekend or something like that.
Or you stay home.
Or whatever it is. It's just a lot to take to go out on Valentine's. But some people love it. Some people, it's very special for them. And so if that's you, then you live your life. And
I invited a guest on today's show, a pastor, and he was like, "No, man, we're going out tonight for Valentine's." I was like, "God bless you, sir."
That's good.
Yeah. So, we're not belittling that at all.
No.
Just saying it comes at a price.
It does.
That's all.
It really does. Mm-hmm. So I brought a little snack for
you. You brought something for us?
Yeah.
Wait, Lexi's got a little something there?
Yeah, well, she doesn't have hers yet.
She doesn't?
No.
She's going to have to come in. Okay, is it biscotti? You gave me some of those already.
Listen.
That
was the pregame.
Okay.
And this is for the game.
Right.
This is the original, sweethearts, the little, Are you sad that I didn't write to John from Kathy on the back?
I remember the first time. Listen, I was admonished by a teacher.
Yeah.
It was during kindergarten, and we were passing out Valentines. Valentines, and she let me pass them out, and instead I was making faces and doing funny walks, and so she made me sit down.
And we'll do the same to you if you don't perform well in the next hour.
I was shamed. I had to sit back in the circle.
I have these for Lex, too.
All right. Thank you for the Valentine.
Yeah. And for Lexi, I also got Smarties for you.
Oh, who doesn't like a Smartie?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
I've been blessed.
Yeah, and look at what I thought of
you.
I stopped and I got it right on the way in.
Hey, I'll split it with you.
No.
Come on, no.
No.
I'm not going to sit here and eat in front of you.
You are. Yeah, you are.
It's a Mounds bar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come on, don't you want half?
I was going to get a Mounds bar for Lex. Do you like coconut, Lex?
I do.
A little bit or a lot?
I like a little bit.
I'll split it with you then, Lex.
No, because I got another one for her.
Oh.
But
it's okay.
But I wasn't sure.
Mounds are the one with almonds in it, right?
No, that's Almond Joy, lady.
Oh, gosh. I've goofed.
Come on. Mounds is where it's at because it's dark
Don't you know
chocolate.
the song? Almond Joy has nuts.
Almond Joy's got nuts.
Mounds don't. I'm eating this live on the air.
I have one for you, Lex. But you also get your Smarties.
That is so good. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. I got 2 Smarties on the way in, Lex, and then I ate one. Sorry. But you get your Mounds bar at the commercial break.
That is so good.
Isn't a Mounds bar underrated?
Am I going to get in trouble?
Oh, why?
I'm eating on air.
Oh, yeah. Our boss is going to get mad. Remember the one time, what were you eating on the air? And he was like, how long have you been in radio? I cannot believe you're eating this on the air.
Sorry.
Was that?
What was it? It was nuts.
I think it was a granola bar.
No, it wasn't granola. It might have been like mixed nuts, I think.
Yeah, it was.
We were at home. We were broadcasting at home.
It was a bad idea. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Very nice.
After the break, we're going to come back. You ready for this headline? Sometimes God's provision is Prozac. Oh, it's a sensitive topic among many people who call themselves Christians. They think that like taking medication for your mental health is bad. Well, we're going to talk to Catherine Lee about that, find out what she thinks. I'll also tell you what I think.
All right.
It's coming up. It's the Valentine edition. The Ride Home.
All right.
WORD.
How much sin can you commit before God gives up on you? Is it ever too late to turn from your evil ways? Can you really be saved on your deathbed? Well, Dr. J. Vernon McGee answers these difficult questions and more this week on Through the Bible, so hop aboard the Bible bus for our exciting study of 2 Chronicles.
Through the Bible, this evening at 9 p.m. on 101.5 WORD.
What if I told you you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of peace. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or a phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
This message is for anyone looking for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Even if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or are taking anxiety meds. Here's an example. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe overweight with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost about $200 a month. We're Term Provider, experts in finding affordable term life insurance for those that may not be in perfect health. If you've had prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or are on prescription medications, you may still qualify for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Get a quick quote right now by visiting termprovider.com. That's termprovider.com, or simply call Term Provider at 800-333-1750. If you're looking for term life insurance but have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or have other health issues. Call Term Provider at 800-333-1750. That's 800-333-1750.
Bachman's Roofing and Solar is your local award-winning roofer. Stop waiting. It's time to inspect your roof and protect your home's #1 asset. With no interest and no payment financing for 12 months, Bachman's Roofing is your easy choice for roofing, gutters, and solar. Did you know Bachman's Roofing is one of the #1 GAF solar integrated roofing installers in the USA? Go with Bachman's. Go with solar and install the roof that pays for itself. Call 412-744-8390 or visit bachmansroofing.com.
In 2002, I had my second daughter, and I was super excited about having a second daughter because I had a first daughter, and she was so awesome and still is. Just
excellent.
Delightful.
Hey, Bun.
Exactly.
She loves a rabbit.
She loves a rabbit. But here's the thing. The dark side to my delightful experience with my first daughter was just that I felt so wacky for the first 3 months after I had her. I just was not myself. And so I didn't really look into it. I didn't really think much about it.
Wait, when you say you were wacky, describe the wackiness.
I was really anxious.
Anxious. Were you moody?
No.
Mostly anxious.
And I wasn't depressed.
This is your second daughter.
This is my first daughter.
Oh, your
I was
first
like,
one. Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay.
I was just anxious.
Because you didn't want to mess it up.
Right.
Doing it wrong.
Right. But in my mind, I'd heard of postpartum depression, and I wasn't depressed. I was just totally freaked out about messing things up.
Okay, yeah.
So fast forward to time to give birth to daughter number 2. And I give birth to her, and for the first week or so, everything's fine. Then my mom calls me one evening from the emergency room in the hospital, and she's crying. And my dad, who was fine, is on death's door. Okay. So I have a 1 week, 2 week, I guess I had a 2-week-old child at that point and a 3-year-old. And it was like, I don't know what happened. A switch flipped and I felt like I lost my mind. It wasn't, again, I was not depressed. I was an anxious mess. And when I say anxious mess, I mean I was having 8, 9, 10 panic attacks every day.
Panic attack?
Which I had never had before. I didn't know what this was. I had no idea what was happening.
Okay, so when you relay this information, something like this, and the idea of even conversation about postpartum depression, was that even talked about, or was that just starting to be talked about? Because now it feels as though it's out there.
Yeah. Well, it was still talked about at that point, but it was called postpartum depression. And I didn't feel like that included me because I wasn't depressed.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that depression and anxiety are just two sides. Two sides of the same coin.
Right.
And it wasn't until I actually had to seek clinical help.
Right.
I had to, because I just was not managing my life. I really was not managing my life. That's when I learned more about what was happening to me. And I said, oh, so postpartum anxiety disorder is a real thing. And I have it. And so now what do I do?
We saw an article in Christianity Today. The headline was, "Sometimes God's provision is Prozac. My battle with postpartum anxiety challenged the limits I'd placed on how God can heal us." Catherine Lee wrote that. Catherine Lee's a poet, a mom working on a memoir about the ways that her motherhood has been defined by the women in her family. And she's with us now. Hey, Catherine, thanks for coming along today.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Real good. We're happy that you're here. You heard a little bit of Cath's story about her journey and her anxiety. Is it similar to yours?
Exactly. I had heard about depression, but never anxiety. So I was completely thrown off, and you're living in the moment, you're exhausted. You're just trying to make it through the next day. And what is going on with the panic attacks? Why can I not sleep? That was completely my experience. And I didn't know how to relay the horror that was going on inside of me. I felt like everybody else was living in a different world than me, and I could not connect with them. And there's some shame associated with it. So I was also afraid of really sharing that this was happening. This was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life, and it was the opposite. And what do you do with that? It's tough.
Yeah, I remember when they put my daughter on my stomach as soon as she was born, and instead of all my friends were like, "Oh, it was the most." My heart exploded. I'd never felt so much love in my life, and it's so devoted. And the only thing I felt was, "What am I going to do with a baby?" And that's a horrible thing to admit. I couldn't say that out loud for years after she was born because I felt like that made me a bad mom.
Yeah, exactly. People called me mom after I had Elaine, who was my first daughter, and I didn't like the name. I couldn't attach to being a mother. I didn't know what that felt like. And I hoped that it didn't feel like what I was feeling because that was not what I was looking forward to. So I completely connect with that, Kathy. And, over time, of course, that bond happens, but you have this expectation that it should be instantaneous. And when you're feeling, fear and angst and isolation instead of that, there's just this huge dissonance inside of you. And you're desperate for help. And of course, as people of faith, we turn to our faith in those moments. And, for me, the story was trying to integrate the physiological changes that were happening into the spiritual worldview that I had. And I didn't have resources really to do that. And so this article was my journey of kind of processing through what does it mean to be an embodied creature of God? What does that mean? And how do I care for myself well? God brought me through, but it was through excruciating pain. And I wanted to share this story because I'm sure lots of women who are members of the church are in a similar situation and they don't know if they should take medication. They don't know how to reach out to a therapist. And I wanted to say, hey, you can make it. I did. I went through this twice, actually, and it's possible to survive.
Can you talk about your decision to take medication? Because for me, I attached pretty quickly to having a therapist. I'd never had one before. I'd never gone to counseling or therapy or anything in my life, but I was so desperate that I was like, sign me up. So when I found a therapist, I was like, okay, I'm in for this. But she said, I'm going to send you to a psychiatrist and I want you to, to take some medication. And I was like, absolutely not. The whole reason that I'm a Christian is because I don't even know what I was thinking at the time, but my whole reason, I'm a Christian. I don't need medication. Like if I broke my leg, I wasn't going to go to the ER. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. But I felt very, very strongly about it. And in fact, I just told John the story the other day. I don't know why it came up in our conversation, but I remember after weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of me being sleepless, of me being an absolute anxious mess and on the verge of having to be, committed short term to a psychiatric facility. She said, look, you're taking medication and it's not for you because I don't even care about you anymore. My therapist said that. She said, you're taking it for your husband and kids. That's how bad it was for me. So what was it like for you? Was that a hard decision?
Oh my gosh, we wrestled so much. I mean, as I said in the article, we spent days in prayer that, disturbed the neighbors, those kind of desperate, loud prayers. God help me. I saw a naturopath. I saw a therapist. I leaned into my family as much as I could. I cried. I worshiped. I did everything that I could. And it just kind of became clear after a while that I was winning a few of the battles, but the war was being lost. I just could not reestablish equilibrium and I needed some help. And so, yes, I finally did break down and go to a psychiatrist, and I had deep reservations about taking the medication. But when you're just completely disconnected, you realize you have to do it. To be totally frank and honest, I found myself in front of a kitchen butcher block, and I just thought it would be better to not exist. I'll just take this knife. Better to not exist than to deal with the pain. And then I sort of had this moment where I backed up and said, whoa, okay, I'm afraid to be a bad mom. That's what the root of this is for me. But I'm going to be a terrible mom if I'm not there, if I do not exist for my children. So this is beyond the scope of my ability. I need to reach out to a medical professional. And I did. And I think this is a normal struggle for us as Christians. I think we don't know what to do with this whole mix of the mind and the brain. And we understand that the soul is deeply woven together in our minds. And so how do we grow and how do we be formed and heal in our minds? But we also know it's connected to a brain. We may have somebody who's a loved one who, has Alzheimer's and their personality has changed. And you realize, gosh, there is so much in the actual material of the brain that we connect with the soul. And so having to wrestle through that, what does that mean? And how do I care for it? I really finally came down to understanding the incarnation as this huge affirmation of creation of the created order of bodies, and that there was something good in the material world, and maybe a shiny little Prozac pill could be good if I was taking it for the right reasons, if I was trying to restore myself to be the kind of mother that I needed to be for my children, that was not the absence of faith, but that was a step towards faith. That maybe I could have a larger imagination for how God works than simply through something, ethereal and quote unquote spiritual. It could be through the creation as well.
We're speaking with Catherine Lee about a piece that she wrote in Christianity Today called "Sometimes God's Provision is Prozac. My battle with postpartum anxiety challenged the limits I'd placed on how God can heal us." So, Catherine and Kath, here we are on Christian radio. I'm sitting back here listening to two Christian women telling the stories of their journey to prescription drugs. This is not a typical conversation on Christian radio, is it, Kath?
No, it's not. I remember, Catherine, I was on the air for a couple years before I thought, can I talk about this? Or is this something I have to keep? And then just asking the question, can I talk about this? Should I keep it a secret? I realized that there was something deeply unhealthy about that. And so I just threw caution to the wind and we talked about it on the air.
So, Catherine, you publishing this in a national publication, has there been any sort of pushback, or has there been, a praise, or what's the reception been like?
It's been so amazing, honestly. It's been so affirming in every way. And, thousands of women have responded positively saying, I needed this. I was at my wit's end. I was not able to worship God without taking Zoloft, or fill in the blank, whatever the drug is. So absolutely positive. There are a few people who are, not okay with this, typically men, to be quite frank, which is funny to me. But, I think that there just has to be a greater understanding of our bodies and how much they matter to God, and that God works through so many ways. Like, as I said, let's use our imaginations and think about all the ways that God is restoring his new creation in us. It is through this world. Heaven is not somewhere out there. It's going to come here. It's going to be a new heaven and a new earth here. This place, our bodies, our blood, our neurochemicals, they matter to God. And so he's going to use us to extend grace. He's going to use pharmacologists to create drugs that heal. So I just think that we need to develop a stronger theology of creation and the incarnation. And I hope to see that moving forward in conversations like this. And I am so honored and so glad that you allowed me to be here to speak about it.
Yeah. Catherine, can you talk about your kids? I mean, first of all, how long ago was this experience for you?
So 2012 was Elaine's birth, and then 2015 was Olivia. So I knew that it was going to happen again, which was the scariest thing to head back into, but I wanted to have another child, so I did it. And they, oh my gosh, my girls are little pistols. They are so much fun and so much work, and I'm completely connected to them and bond with them. And we actually have really great theological conversations all the time. Mm-hmm. And when they're old enough, I'll be able to share with them that this was my experience and that they were so completely worth it. Completely worth it. It has not in any way diminished my motherhood. It's actually been one of those experiences, like we all probably have in one way or another in our lives, where it reframes reality and you just learn such deep gratitude. I often pray prayers, God, thank you that you brought me through, that I survived. Today is really not going so well, but I'm alive and I get to see my kids be stinkers, and I love that. And I move forward, and I'm grateful.
That's really awesome. My daughters are 23 and 20. And that's been a part of our conversation, just like you said, from the time they were old enough to know about it. I told them all sorts of details because I didn't want them to be afraid of those words, of the word anxiety or the word depression. Even though depression wasn't my thing, it's still scary for people, if they think it's, oh my gosh, I can feel it, it's coming on. I wanted them to realize that it's a normal thing that people experience.
Or to self-medicate.
Yeah, exactly. And people medicate, as you know, Catherine, in all sorts of different ways. People drink too much or eat too much or don't eat, or whatever it is that, they do to try to cover it up. And so I'm excited to see what that ends up being like with you and your girls, because for me and mine, it's just been really wonderful. And, being a weak parent is often such a good thing. And to be able to be upfront with your kids about that, I think is just really important.
So then, Catherine, here you are. I mean, Kath and I always know people are out there who, of course, it's a Christian audience to some degree, but people are pushing buttons as well. So if you had a word of encouragement for someone out there who's like you, like Kathy, and they find themselves at wit's end as they're just, starting a new life as a mother, could you offer that word?
Well, one thing is, don't give up hope and let people know exactly what's going on. I had a great family surrounding me, but I think I really struggled to explain how deep the pain was. So I would say, to the extent that you're able, reach out and share just the utter despair that you're feeling. That is okay. Others can handle it. You don't have to hold it all by yourself. And, I think lean into your community. Get help, do what it takes to survive, and literally take it 1 hour at a time. Just get to nap time. Honestly, break it down into small bits and pieces and get to nap time, and then get to feeding time, and then get to bedtime, and do it again. And eventually the horror begins to fade away. And when that joy comes in, I will say it is so rich, and you have to fight through, but you cannot do it alone. And do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. Who cares who's going to judge you? Like, they do not know your heart. God knows your heart. He knows what is going on with you, and they can shut it, really, honestly. Move forward, do what you got to do, sister.
That's good. That's
or
really
brother.
good.
Oh, that's well said.
If you don't like it, shut it.
Catherine Lee.
Excellent.
Sometimes God's provision is Prozac. Look it up on Christianity Today. Catherine, a real pleasure to meet you. Sometime we should come on and talk about sleep disorders.
Let's do it. I'm all for that.
You found your niche, Catherine. Thanks an awful lot for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-786-2300. 800-786-2300. That's 800-786-2300.
What if I told you can save a baby's life for just $28? Well, it's true. Preborn is a ministry doing just that with the help of people like you by offering free ultrasound sessions to pregnant girls and women who otherwise might choose to end their pregnancy. We know that pregnant girls and women who can see their babies on ultrasound are far more likely to choose life. Your gift today can save babies' lives. Just $28 can give a mother the chance to see the truth of the baby that is growing inside her. $140 can do this for 5 girls and women. Whether you want to save one baby or 5 or hundreds, that opportunity is just a click or phone call away. Call 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or you can do it safe and secure online by clicking on the Preborn banner at wordfm.com.
Rhema Christian School is a private school in Moon Township serving children in preschool through 8th grade. Recognized for its commitment to a biblically integrated curriculum that nurtures a Christian worldview and academic excellence, Rhema aims to develop the whole child, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Rhema is a true community of families who desire to raise up the next generation of godly leaders, also offering programs for homeschool families, accepting enrollment now for the current school year and opening soon for the 2023-24 school year. Visit RhemaChristianschool.org.
Discover the magnificence of the Mediterranean with Alistair Begg and our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. 9 life-changing days of powerful worship, Bible study, and history. Sign up now, deeperfaithcruise.com.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home, too, at 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
For this evening, cloudy with a shower in spots late, the low 47. Mostly sunny and breezy tomorrow. It's going to feel more like spring than winter, my friend. The high tomorrow, 73. Partly cloudy, mild tomorrow night, low 45. Increasingly windy with periods of rain on Thursday, even a thunder boomer, cooler with a high 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Ruth O'Brien. Go to AccuWeather.com for more.
Does this make sense?
Does what make sense?
Greeting cards. Especially, John, on a day like today. Greeting cards. You have to go into the Hallmark store, or you have to go into the grocery store, or the dollar, wherever there. Does that make sense?
I like a blank card.
Okay.
A nice image on the front of something that, appeals to me. And then my own words on the inside. Because more often than not, when I read, that's not me. I would not say these little flowery accolades or the sympathy. Or it's rare that you see something and you go, unless it's funny. Because the funny greeting cards, you go, oh, you get a little chuckle out of that.
95% of them aren't funny, though, do you think?
Well, it all depends.
Or maybe...
my brother and I, we'll send, on his birthdays, we'll send each other, hey, brother, and just kind of it's an eye roller, mildly insult each other for our lack of brotherliness or whatever it is.
Okay.
I appreciate that as a greeting card. But generally, it does, I like to get a card, and I like to send a card, but I don't want somebody's words on the card. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying half and half.
So it kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say that you are exactly right.
Hey, thank you.
Because I'm kind of half and half on this too. Because I always like to get a card, and I'm horrible, terrible, and appallingly bad about sending cards. I really want to in my head, and then I just don't do it.
My wife's good. Do you have my wife has a inventory.
Oh, yes. Yeah, maybe
she's so good about that.
Maybe if I had an inventory.
She'll go out to the store and she'll go, I need 10 the interesting thing is we've stocked up more and we're getting older. All of a sudden, the sympathy cards are going up.
Oh, right. In importance.
And the birth cards or the wedding cards are kind of going down.
Right. Anyway, so I think it makes sense as long as there's not a poem in there.
Okay, does this make sense? Kind of in the same vein. Valentine's Day. Today. Does it make sense? Do we need a special day set aside to proclaim our adoration and our commitment, our love to our betrothed or those that we are connected with? Does that matter? Or is it just like a Hallmark invention to, spur the economy on with flowers and chocolates and whatnot?
I will also do a yes and because
First time
yes,
ever.
It makes sense. And that's exactly what it is. It's a holiday to tide us over between Christmas and Easter, and I'm all for it.
What about St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal if you're not Irish. You're Irish. For the Polish people, it doesn't matter.
Oh, for us, it was a national holiday.
I bet it was.
Kidding me?
Celebrate Valentine's Day.
101.5 WORD.
Your station for unlimited grace with Brian Chappell.
Yes, the valley is real. I came through that path, but the mountains are real. There is morning after the night. The morning comes, And so I trust God through it, as these people do when they are making a place for confession and acknowledgement of God's grace at the very same moment.
Unlimited Grace with Brian Chappell, tonight at 11 on 101.5 WORD.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
I'm cold.
Well, you know why you're cold? Because we need to replace our windows.
It's going to be expensive.
Well, we lose money every time the wind blows.
I don't want to deal with a high-pressure salesperson.
Well, our neighbors used Energy Swing windows and doors, and they loved them.
Oh, they have over 500 five-star reviews.
The Energy Swing is a complete lifetime warranty for a peace of mind guarantee. So if we replace the windows and doors with them, we'll never have to do it again.
I'll make an appointment today at EnergySwingWindows.com.
Something incredible is happening. There is a church service that has been going on for almost 1 full week. Last Wednesday at a standard chapel meeting at Asbury University, at least 100 people fell to their knees and bowed at the altar during a call of confession. Since then, people have been gathering testimonies, reading scripture, praying in what participants are calling a revival, with students, professors, and local church leaders taking part.
I first heard some glimmerings about this on Twitter over the weekend. It was Sunday evening that I first heard something about it. And then I heard something again on Monday, and then I read something again on Tuesday. And I thought, my first instinct when I hear something about this, especially on social media, is that it's a media creation, it's a manipulation. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take it seriously. But sure. My interest was piqued, and I wanted to be open, as much as I possibly could. And in the last 2 days, I have seen a lot of things that are leading me to believe that this is a real and actual thing, especially the testimony of Tom McCall, who wrote a piece in Christianity Today about it that was released yesterday. And maybe this is just because of who I am and the way I look at things, but I appreciated Tom McCall saying, as an analytical theologian, I'm weary of hype and very wary of manipulation. I come from a background, he says, where I've seen efforts to manufacture revivals and movements of the Spirit that were sometimes not only hollow, but also harmful. I don't want anything to do with that. And truth be told, he writes, this is nothing like that. There is no pressure or hype, no manipulation. There is no high-pitched emotional fervor. To the contrary, it has so far been mostly calm and serene. The mix of hope and joy, he writes, and peace is indescribably strong and indeed almost palpable, a vivid, incredibly powerful sense of shalom. The ministry of the Holy Spirit is undeniably powerful, but also gentle.
Now, I'm reading here from Relevant Magazine, and they quote someone. Her name is Alexandra Presta. She is the editor of the student-run website, the Asbury Collegian, and she describes the scene going on inside the chapel today. She says, peers, professors, local church leaders, and seminary students surround me, all of them praying, worshiping, and praising God together. Voices are ringing out. People are bowing at the altar, arms stretched wide. A pair of friends cling to each other in a hug, one with tears in her eyes. A diverse group of individuals crowd the piano and switch from song to song. Some even sit like me with laptops open. No one wants to leave. And in that same article, Nellie White, who is a student at the University of Kentucky and a member of Emmanuel Baptist Church, told Kentucky Today that chains were broken, confessions happened, and God was praised as holy, holy, holy. Now, Asbury University is a private Christian school with roots in the Wesleyan holiness movement, and this is not its first revival. Way back in 1970, there was a revival that started on February the 3rd during a chapel service that went on for 144 consecutive days. Now,
even prior to that, there's one that took place there as early as 1905.
Wow.
And one as recent as 2006, when a student chapel led to 4 days of continuous worship, prayer, and praise. It's very interesting to me.
I love it so much.
I do too.
I don't believe, how can, as skeptical as people are of internet hype and all that, I mean, if people are gathering and praising God for the sake of praising God, it's a beautiful and holy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So skepticism aside.
You didn't have any skepticism at first?
Mm-mm.
Really?
No. I mean, you've been to services, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where
yes,
God is,
I have,
and you.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
You lose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You become otherworldly in a way. You surrender, and the Holy Spirit takes over in your life.
Okay, so what about if people are listening to this who have no experience with that, and they think, what kind of craziness are they talking about? How would you decipher that? You're talking to someone who doesn't go to church, who doesn't have any connection with spiritual things.
I would say, think of your most joyful moment on this earth, whatever that was. The attendance of your first child, you saying your wedding vows that I do, or whatever that ultimate joy was, and drill down into that deeper and magnify it by 1,000 or more. That's what is happening here. And it's not about ego. It's not about you. It's about God in you and taking over you and showing you a vision of heaven. That's what it is. And I understand why people might be skeptical about that, but I think you can't be skeptical. If you were in that room, I believe you would see the purity of the moment.
Tom McCall, reading again from his article in Christianity Today, he said, I know that God moves in mysterious ways. Jesus tells us that the Spirit blows where it will. This is from John 3. And sometimes God does what Jonathan Edwards called surprising work, what John Wesley referred to as extraordinary ministry. I firmly believe that much of what is important and vital in the Christian life happens just in everyday moments, in daily disciplines and liturgies, in the moment-by-moment decisions to pursue righteousness or sacrificial love of neighbor, or prayers that are breathed in quiet desperation. I know that these extraordinary acts of God are no replacement for the ordinary ministry of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
Likewise, the surprising works of God are not a substitute for the long, plain, boring, often road of discipleship. If that were the case, he says, as my colleague reminds me, we'd be dependent on this experience rather than the Holy Spirit who graciously gives us his presence to sustain us. Mm-hmm. But, he said, I also believe we should be willing to recognize and celebrate these astounding encounters with the Holy Spirit when they happen.
Amen. Look, most of our lives are spent in the valley, right? They are spent in confusion and fear, all those. This is a peak. So why would you not grab that peak and celebrate that peak and know that the Holy Spirit is living and viable in that little corner of the world? And not to say just there, of course, but everywhere. For whatever reason, it's been peeled back a little bit, and those participants in that worship service saw that, grabbed onto it, and it's been infused in them and taken for these last almost 7 days in a wide celebration of Christ in us, the life of the Holy Spirit, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit in us. And they are otherworldly in a way. I don't believe there's hype about this. This is not for press coverage or for attention to those people. I'd love to be there.
I would too. I really would.
I'd love to walk into that experience. If you've traveled, I mean, I've been with churches, and I've seen this twice. Once in Ukraine and once in Africa, where you walk into a worship experience, and it is that.
Yeah. I've had that experience twice, too. Funny, you said 2 times. I had that experience in Amsterdam, and I had that experience in Jakarta, Indonesia.
So then we've seen it in a place that's unusual to us. And so maybe that in some ways helped us.
Yeah, maybe we weren't concerned. We didn't have like the normal concerns of life.
There wasn't the constraints of time, place, neighborhood, family, community, that guy over there that I know that I've got. Those bonds were freed. But the church itself, whatever happened in there, I mean, I see it as clear as day. I remember it as clear as day because you felt yourself open up, and you were more acceptable to it.
It was weird. And in both of those places, I didn't speak the language.
Right. Maybe that's something about it too.
Yeah. And when I was in Amsterdam, I was with a whole bunch of people, and there were a few believers in the group. And one of the women who was a believer came up to me, and she said, "Hey," we were just like wandering around this area of Amsterdam. She said, "If you go through that door over there, go in there and sit down and tell me what you think. Come out and tell me what you think."
What?
And I was like, "What? That's weird." Because it didn't look like a church from outside. It was just like a portion of a building. It was very weird. Anyway, so I walked through this door. I was like, I don't know what she's talking about, but I trust her. I know her.
Took your wallet.
I walked through, and it was this little chapel. It was a Catholic chapel. I'm not Catholic, and I don't speak Dutch. Okay, and I walked in, and it was the chapel could have seated at maximum 100 people. It was very small.
Tiny, yeah.
There were maybe 11 people in there. And there was something going on. It was really remarkable. It was almost tactile. It really was. And so I don't know how long I was in there, and I came out, and my friend looked at me and she said, "What did you think?" And I was like,
"That's beautiful."
And she said, that's what I thought too. But she said, I felt like I needed someone to confirm that. And so probably 4 of us on the trip went in there and all had the same experience.
I mean, the astounding thing to me is that you came out.
We were responsible for children.
Right. So here's what I think. When you see what's happening at Asbury, and I fully 100% am invested in the truth of the moment of the worship and the presence of the Holy Spirit and all those who are fortunate to be in that room. And we talk about this, of course, in the church all the time. Revival's coming. Revivals, I see that, and you think, maybe just by this conversation and in conversations that other people are having about that very same subject, that little tiny flint that has been sparked, it's not unusual or unwieldy to think that worldwide revival, the mess of where we are right now in this crazy world. I mean, people are talking about World War III.
Mm-hmm.
So why couldn't that? Can you imagine if there was this explosion of worldwide revival from there? I don't discount that.
No, I don't discount it either.
I pray for that. Use me. Use us as part of that revival, Lord. Let the Holy Spirit come upon us.
Do you remember what was kept in a spring house? If you're an old timer, you know that a spring house was used for storing fresh, cold milk. In 84, Pennsylvania, we have another kind of spring house. Our spring house is an old-fashioned country store filled with all kinds of old-time gifts, great country foods, and you guessed it, fresh, cold milk. You see, the Spring House in 84 is also a dairy farm where we milk our own cows, pasteurize and homogenize the milk, and sell it all through the store. We've had people tell us it has to be some special kind of gourmet milk. We don't add anything to the cow's diet or to the milk. It's just nature's purest, most perfect food, and we love the way our customers love it. We also make a chocolate milk you would think is a chocolate shake, an old-fashioned buttermilk that people drive miles to get, and a 40% heavy cream that's wonderful for luscious desserts. Our 2% and our skim are the greatest sellers. Come and try some Springhouse milk at the Springhouse in 84.
Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength of the issuing insurer. If you're over 50 and thinking about retirement, it's vital that you have a protected income flow you can rely on. Not so easy these days. That's why you need the book that could help protect your retirement future. The book, Guarantee Your Retirement, from financial leader JDM Financial, takes all the mystery out of ways an annuity strategy can help safeguard your retirement with their step-by-step method for boosting your retirement income as much as 40%. And today, the book is yours free. Ready to help recession-proof your retirement? This free book can be a roadmap to helping you avoid the uncertainties of the economy that could make your retirement dreams fade. Don't risk losing some of what you've worked a lifetime for. For your free copy of Guarantee Your Retirement from JDM Financial, call now. Call 800-337-8051. That's 800-337-8051. 800-337-8051.
Rhema Christian School is a private school in Moon Township serving children in preschool through 8th grade. Recognized for its commitment to a biblically integrated curriculum that nurtures a Christian worldview and academic excellence, Rhema aims to develop the whole child, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Rhema is a true community of families who desire to raise up the next generation of godly leaders, also offering programs for homeschool families, accepting enrollment now for the current school year and opening soon for the 2023-24 school year. Visit rhemachristianschool.org.
From the creators of I Can Only Imagine comes Jesus Revolution.
If you look a little deeper, if you look with love, you'll see an entire generation searching for all the right things, just in all the wrong places.
Based on a true revolution.
You're going to need a bigger church.
Jesus Revolution. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13. See it early February 22nd. In theaters everywhere beginning February 24th. Go to JesusRevolution.movie.
Ahead of New York Fashion Week, an organization called Lawn Starter ranked 2023's most glamorous cities in America.
No, wait, New York Fashion Week and Lawn Starter.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this is the Pew Research Council.
Okay. So people who are invested like in the weeds of your backyard are talking about Fashion Week and what else?
Yeah. Fashion Week. Well, it was right before Fashion Week. They're talking about 2023's most glamorous cities. Which U.S. cities serve up Ritz and glitz versus Ritz crackers and grits? That's the question.
Is Pittsburgh on the list?
Yes.
What?
Pittsburgh is on the list.
Wait, how many cities are listed?
Well, there are 200 cities listed.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so there's a lot of cities listed.
I mean, you can say a lot of things about Pittsburgh, but it's not a glamorous city.
Okay, Pittsburgh comes in at number 32 out of 200. I think that's pretty high praise.
Okay, this is just U.S.
Yes.
All right, this is not
Yeah,
worldwide.
it's, right. Monaco's not in here.
No, okay. 32.
32
Okay,
out of 200.
That's a solid. I'm comfortable with that.
I mean, I'm relatively proud of that score.
What's 33?
Boston.
Whoa.
Now, that is not a good feeling.
Okay, what's 31?
Cincinnati. It's tough.
Cincinnati?
That's
They're
tough.
more glamorous than Pittsburgh.
That's tough.
All right, you want to do like...
Top 10?
Yeah, okay, do top 10. Top 10 most glamorous
You want to do 15?
cities. Yeah. What do you got?
15. Fort Lauderdale.
Hard to argue.
Portland.
Oh, come on.
Oregon, not Maine.
Portland, Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
I've got family that lives in Portland. He describes it as a battle scene.
I'm saying, I don't know what to tell you.
Glamorous.
Scottsdale.
Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, we were just, right? The Super Bowl.
Yep, exactly. It looked pretty
Looked
nice.
pretty nice, yeah.
Orlando.
No way.
I don't think Orlando's
No
glamorous.
way. No
What are you
way.
talking about?
I got family. You ever been
in
to
the world?
Orlando?
Yes.
About 150 degrees. No thanks.
No, I agree. Seattle.
Yeah, maybe.
It's very nice. Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. Dallas.
I can't.
I've never been to Dallas.
Yeah, at the airport.
Atlanta. Atlanta has.
Yeah, it's got it going on.
Yeah, Atlanta has a lot of the Southern charm
Yep.
thing. The whole
It's the L.A. of the South.
I feel it when I'm there.
Yeah.
Houston.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Houston has huge money.
Yeah.
Gigantic
I'm
money.
sure there are very beautiful pockets,
yes,
glamorous parts
exactly.
of Houston.
Vegas.
No. What number is that?
That's number 6.
Glamorous. I mean, there's a lot of adjectives.
I guess some people would look at it as glamorous. I wouldn't look at
Really?
Vegas as glamorous.
Really?
I'd look that as
Maybe when
like,
the Rat Pack was there.
maybe that's what people still have in their minds.
Well, it's not the truth.
No, but I bet that's what they still have in their minds.
All right.
Okay, Vegas is 6.
I mean,
5, Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Chicago's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago.
That toddling town. 4, Miami. We were just talking about when you fly into Miami.
It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
I've never spent any time there. I've only flown in and flown out.
Yeah. I mean,
The color of the water.
just beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
just really
I wouldn't want
big.
to live there, but I would like to go and spend a week there.
Number 3, San Francisco.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
But it's...
Yeah, it declined so dramatically.
My parents would go to San Francisco once every year.
Did they?
For more than a decade.
It's a beautiful.
They loved
it's
it.
such a
This was in the 60s
romantically
and 70s.
beautiful town. Number 2, L.A.
L.A. Well, of course. I mean, it's L.A. So there are certainly glamorous pockets, right? Big money.
Number 1,
Yeah.
New York.
New York is the most glamorous. Really?
Can you argue with that?
No, you can't.
I don't
'cause
think you can.
It's so nice they named it twice.
It's New York.
The Ride Home with John and Kathy, a production of Salem Media Group.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. The new employment report showed a gain of roughly 500,000 jobs in January, and immediately Biden boom started trending on Twitter. Not so fast. Yes, that's a lot of jobs added in 1 month, but 1 month does not make a boom. For most of the past year, job growth has been weak and the economy faltering. Real wages fell and people's savings fell along with them. Credit card debt mounted up. People who were out of the workforce saw their savings and credit depleted, read headlines about layoffs, and got worried enough to go back to work. Usually new jobs are a sign of a growing economy, but the growth data points to a stagnant economy right now. It's good that people are going back to work, but there's a difference between job growth from an actual boom and hard times driving people back to work. This is no boom. I'm Jerry Boyer.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker too, plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.